Hey everyone, so I thought today I'll give you something a little bit different for this channel. Basically, we went to Poland about a month ago, or just over a month ago. We're at the end of April now. We went in the middle of March. So I thought I'd upload that vlog to this channel. Now, the original vlog, then, if you like, it's on another channel that I've got, which I shall put in the description if you want to go and check that out. In terms of this channel itself, of course, as you can see, it is predominantly for drum covers. There will be more drum videos coming very soon. As I said, we're at the end of April now. I've got a gig at the start of May, which is basically next weekend. So I want to get myself into the studio between now and then, just to basically just practice a little bit and make sure that I don't completely sweat to death or fail at this gig that I've got. So, but for now, if you want to watch and if you want to see what we got up to in Poland, sit back and enjoy, I guess, and I'll speak to you soon. Oh, and also, this is my disclaimer before I actually show you this vlog. The video itself, I'm not sure what the quality is going to be like. This sort of vlog and this travel vlog idea that I had, it came together to keep myself busy over a period of time where I was feeling quite sort of down with myself. So it literally is my first go. I've put it all together with iMovie. It's a mixture of footage from a GoPro, from my GoPro that I've got, and my iPhone as well. And like I said, I put it together in iMovie. So that vlog is basically going to be put through iMovie again. And then when it's sort of finally finished, you will see that version just here. So the quality, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but we're winging it. So like I said, I hope you enjoy. There might be other different things like that coming to this channel, but like I've said, keep your eyes peeled, because there are going to be more drum videos coming very soon, including 1-minute medleys and also full drum covers as well, with multiple different camera angles and that kind of thing. So again, thank you ever so much if you are going to watch this, and if you get to the end and you feel like you want to see more, feel free to check out my channel and that kind of thing. And yeah, I will see you and speak to you very soon. Good morning. As you can see, the time is just before 9 o'clock. It's a Friday, and tomorrow we're going to Poland. So before we do any of that, I have actually got half day's worth of work to do, which is always fun. It's quite a bittersweet moment as well, because it's my last day in work today. So I am starting a new job, which means before we actually go anywhere, I need to go and actually return my equipment. So I don't know how this video is going to turn out, but we'll see what happens. It's time to do some work, I suppose. Now, whilst I'm working, I thought it'd be a good idea to show you the planned route for the trip ahead of us. So, of course, our journey starts at home in South Wales, and as our flight was from Birmingham Airport, the plan, as I'll explain in just a second, was to stay over at my mother's house the night before. And then the next day, we'd begin the trip to Krakow, which would be the destination that we'd be calling home for the next couple of days. So, you rejoin us at 20 to 2 in the afternoon. It's still Friday, and we're still going to Poland tomorrow, but the car is loaded, work has been finished, and I think we're ready to go. Are you ready to go? Oh, Betsy's not ready to go. She needs a wee. Or she needs to go bark at the... So, next stop is to drop Betsy off at the dog sitters, and then we're going to go into our local town just to get some bits and pieces. Then I've got to go and drop my equipment off, like I said earlier on, and then we'll be on the way to the West Midlands. One good thing about the fact that we're flying from Birmingham is that my family live around about half an hour's drive or so away from the airport. So we're just going to go up to my mother's, and we're going to stop there tonight. We've got food booked tonight, Toby Carvery, £6, can't say fairer than that. And then, of course, the actual travelling to the airport and then to Poland, that will then start tomorrow. So that's enough rambling for me. Anyway, I will rejoin you later on, or maybe not at all, because I get nervous when speaking to a camera. So you might just hear voiceover Shane from this point on. But yeah, let's go and drop the dog off. Update on our day. I've just dropped off equipment at my old job. I'm starting a new one, as I've said, in a few weeks' time. So that needed to be done. But now we're going to be travelling up to the Midlands, which is going to take a couple of hours. For you, it might take a couple of minutes, but for us, it's going to be Friday afternoon traffic and that kind of thing. So, you excited for it? She's zoned out. Anyway, see you later. So this journey from South Wales to the West Midlands is one that we've done many times before. Oftentimes, Chris will load herself up with sugar for the duration of the journey, and most times she'll end up singing some of her favourite songs at me. But this time, however, there were multiple times where she became fascinated with the fisheye lens on my GoPro. Now, depending on when you do the journey, it can be a really nice drive, and in our case, it was really good until we hit lots of traffic on the M6. Now, if you're from the UK and you've ever been on the M6, you'll know exactly what I mean when I talk about traffic, and what I found is that you're either lucky and you get no traffic at all, or just like this particular drive, you end up getting stuck for ages. So, here we are. We've made it after 6 hours? Yeah. 6 hours worth of travelling. Yeah, I'm really tired. It's not going to be long, and then I think we'll be going to bed. We've got quite a day tomorrow. Our flight isn't until 5:15 in the afternoon, but because we're getting the train from here where we are to the airport, we've obviously got to factor in travelling times. Then we've got to be there X amount of hours before anyway for security and that kind of thing. So I think we're probably going to be going out like tomorrow morning at some stage. I've got nothing else to say now, so I'm going to go and relax a bit. We did get some snacky bits from Morrison's, which consists of donuts and muffins, so we're going to go and watch some TV and eat them. And then we randomly went to Tesco to get some pyjamas, and that's what's here currently on the bed right now. But this isn't a fashion vlog, so I'm not going to show you them. Anyway, I'm rambling. See you in the morning. So with the first leg of the trip completed, it was time to start the second leg. Now the first part of this second leg was to get the train from Walsall in the West Midlands over to Birmingham International. Now the train was quiet, but me and Chris can both confirm that after spending the first 10 months of our relationship basically travelling 4 hours by train every weekend to see each other, we don't miss train travel, and we're so grateful that we can drive now. So as you can imagine, we were delighted to find out that we could get a train directly from Walsall to Birmingham International. It was an absolute win in our opinion. Now, we'd actually never caught the train to the airport before, so it was very, very nice to know that there was lots of signs around and about to basically tell you where you needed to be. And after a very short but very bumpy ride on the monorail that basically takes you from the train station directly to the terminal itself, we did security, and then the first stop was to go to the pub, because why not? And after we had some food and our obligatory Wetherspoons pint, it was then time to go and board our flight. Just like that, we made it into our room. I'm very tired. It's been a really long day. We had a bit of a delay by only about an hour, but it just, when you want to be somewhere, you just want to be somewhere, don't you? But we are in Poland, so that's the travel day done, I suppose. We're probably just gonna chill out and get our energy back, ready for tomorrow. We'll see you soon. So here we are then, about to go and explore Krakow for the first time. We didn't have anything planned for the first day because we just wanted to get our bearings, but the very first thing that spun me out was the amount of mirrors that was in the lift. You also walk out of the lift, and this footage doesn't show it, but you walk out of the lift in the main reception, and the ceiling is mirrored as well. And then you look to the left, you look to the right, and there's just mirrors everywhere. I wasn't too sure why, but it was a pretty hotel nonetheless. And after breakfast, it was time to go and venture out, which is what we did. We didn't have any plans or anything, didn't have anything booked, so we literally just stepped out the hotel, turned left, and carried on walking in a straight line until we stumbled across the old town in Krakow. There's lots of things to see and do here, lots of different restaurants, different market stalls, that kind of thing. Also, St Mary's Basilica is here as well. We basically popped our head through the door to find that there was some kind of service going on, so we didn't stay in there for too long, but eventually we walked out of town and discovered this place, which is the Museum of Illusions. And for as long as I've known her, Chris absolutely loves art. She's a tattooist by trade. And the Museum of Illusions was one of the places that she'd basically seen on the internet when searching for things to do around Krakow. So as soon as we'd seen it in person, we absolutely had to go in. And after that museum, we decided that we were quite hungry, so we made our way back to the old town, where we managed to actually get squeezed into Hard Rock Cafe, which was always good. We try and go to these anywhere we go, and anywhere there is one, basically. I'm a big music fan, as I've pointed out before on the channel, so I was basically in my element, and the food was lovely as well. And after food, we carried on walking just for a little bit, and we discovered the Chimney Cake Bakery. It was quite satisfying to be in here. It was very busy, actually, as well, but it was satisfying to watch how the cakes are actually made and that kind of thing. They are made in front of you, and they were really good as well. They were really messy, but really good. Now, with Chris's love of art, she was delighted to know that there was a Banksy museum just up the road from our hotel, so that's where we went next. So the thing is with Banksy's artworks, they do tend to appear in random areas, as you can imagine, in the sort of towns and cities that they appear in. The locals of those particular places, they tend to get fascinated. Now this was absolutely no different to this particular artwork here. This appeared overnight in Port Talbot, which just happens to be Chris's hometown. And after a day of sightseeing, we wanted to go and explore the nightlife that Krakow had to offer. Admittedly, we didn't stay out for too long. We only went to 2 places. And that was basically because we both knew exactly where we were going the next day. And we both wanted clear heads for it, and we didn't want to be hungover. So here we are then on our final day in Poland, and we went to the salt mines. First of all, I have one word for you, and that is stairs. So there were, of course, a lot of stairs to contend with, but when you reached the bottom of what seemed to be a never-ending staircase, this place just opened up, and it was absolutely massive. There was so much things to see, so much things to learn as well. Our tour guide did a really good job of explaining everything really well, and it was just a really good day. You know, it wasn't a full day, but to be honest with you, we were so tired after it because of all of the walking that is involved in exploring a place like this. But for me, the most impressive place was this chapel. It was almost as if it was the centerpiece of the whole tour. It was just massive, and the pictures that I'm showing you right now, they don't do it justice as to how big this place actually was. So just to give you an idea of how big this place actually is, when we had finished our tour, the tour guide took us back to the lift, but before she took us back there, she said that it was going to be about a 15-minute walk. So hopefully that does this place a little bit of justice. It was a really good day, I do recommend it, but like I've said, it wasn't a full day. Now, I'm not complaining about that for a second. We were just very grateful for the sit down, to be honest with you. We tried some dumplings and then randomly stumbled across this underground bar, which time basically escaped us in this bar. We'd ended up being in there for about 5 hours. And then this basically brought an end to our time in Poland, and we started the journey home the next day. And just like that, it's all over. Chris is in work. As I mentioned at the start of this vlog, I am starting a new job in a few days. So I've had a few days basically to edit this vlog, put it together. And when I was doing that, I realised that there were some things that actually I wanted to basically just maybe elaborate on a little bit more. For example, the thing that's, probably jumping out to you is the fact that I've recorded some of Auschwitz, but I didn't record absolutely everything, and I'll get to the reasons why that is in a little while. So this part of the vlog is basically going to be a bit of a review about the certain bits that we did. Of course, now we've done the holiday, we can sort of look back on the holiday and give comments as to what we thought was great about it, what we thought wasn't so great. And believe me, there were a few bits that weren't, the best. They could have been a little bit better. So we'll start off with Birmingham Airport then. So first of all, Birmingham Airport on a Saturday afternoon, it's probably a peak time to go on holiday and to catch a flight. I understand that, but first of all, it just feels like a construction site. They're currently adding, as of March 2024, when I'm recording this, they're currently sort of renovating or adding something to the airport. And there's just, construction everywhere. There's just sort of, partitions up. There's, white walls everywhere. The walking space that you have is quite thin as well in some spots. We made a mistake when we first got off the monorail. We got into the lift, and we thought that it was taking us to departures, which is, of course, where we needed to be. When we got off the lift, we realised that we'd gone to the wrong place. And we were actually in the main entrance of the airport itself, and we didn't need to be there. So trying to find where to go, with all of this construction work going on, all the people that were standing around and the complete organised chaos that it was quite difficult to know actually where we needed to go to get back to departures. You'd think that it would be signposted a little bit better, and in our opinion it just wasn't. So yes, we made the mistake, but then we basically had to accept defeat of standing in this queue that we didn't really need to be in, or we shouldn't have been in, and we stood there for around about half an hour or so before actually being able to get on the lift itself. Took us back up to departures. We did security and that kind of thing. That probably took around about another 40 minutes. So it was just around about over an hour or so from getting off the train to getting, into the departure lounge. That is pretty much how long it took. So, but as I said, it was just organised chaos, and there was people everywhere. No one really knew where to go or what to do. Yeah, it was just a bit crazy. But again, like I said, I do appreciate that on a Saturday afternoon in any airport, really, that's probably going to be one of the busier times of the week. Now, speaking of being at the airport, as you would have probably seen earlier on in the vlog, we flew with Ryanair. Now, I was sceptical of Ryanair, basically just because of the reviews that you tend to see of Ryanair. Whilst I do really appreciate their Twitter page or their X page, and some of the sort of banter that comes from that page. I was still quite sceptical, because then whilst you do have the banter, you also then, like I said, have the bad reviews that you tend to see and what have you. However, in terms of when I go to a different country, I am the type of person where as long as the plane gets me there, I can manage. And that's exactly what it did. There was a bit of a delay. I didn't really know, or none of us really knew what the delay was for. On the way out there, as I mentioned earlier, there was about an hour's worth of a delay. but we didn't really know why. And for a long time, we were basically waiting in the queue, waiting to board. And you could just hear people around you just getting sort of disgruntled and that kind of thing. But other than that, the flight on the way there, it was okay. The aircraft was quite small, really. But at the end of the day, we booked our seats. We got to sit next to each other. We got a window seat, which is what I asked for. And can't really complain, to be honest with you. The way back, first of all, I'll explain, the way back was absolutely fine, right? So the journey on the way back was probably actually the smoothest flight that I've ever taken. There was no turbulence. The aircraft was a little bit bigger. But first of all, and if my technology skills and my editing skills are any good, you'll see this now, because I actually managed to take a couple of second sort of video of it. But here is basically where we were leaving the airport sort of terminal itself. We were then asked to get on a bus, which then took us from this point here around to where we were standing. You literally could have walked. Like, you could have walked. I didn't understand the waste of a bus, but, who am I? I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe someone can educate me as to why we were all packed onto a bus like sardines when we literally just could have walked to the plane. Also as well, it's really small things that I'm picking at, right? But as I said, one of the smoothest flights I've ever had, if not the smoothest flight I've ever had. The aircraft, like the leg room, was absolutely fine. It wasn't busy really either, and all of that was fine. However, just something that really stuck with me with the safety announcements. Now, in my experience, usually you might have a sort of an automated sort of system letting you know what to do in an emergency and that kind of thing. And then, of course, you have the cabin crew actually demonstrating what it is that you need to do. But for some reason, before we took off, the particular cabin crew member of staff, I can't remember their name. I wouldn't name them anyway, but they seemed to basically mention, and this was after, by the way, boarding was completed, so everybody was on the plane. He seemed to basically mention what happens in the event of when the masks fall down, when the cabin loses pressure, and what to do. He seemed to explain that more times than what I'm really used to, almost as if he was anticipating that something like that was going to happen. For some reason, I don't know why, it's just stuck with me. But like I said, it's really small things that I'm picking at. I can't really complain about Ryanair in general. But would I fly with them again? They're not going to be on my priority list at the very top. But I probably would. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. At the end of the day, the plane got us from A to B and then back from B to point A at the end of our holiday. So, you can't say fairer than that, really. Now, the other thing I wanted to speak about is Auschwitz and our experience with that place. As you've already seen in the vlog, there was around about, I think it was about a minute or so worth of footage that I captured of Auschwitz. I didn't actually expect to capture that much. In fact, the only reason that I'd recorded some bits in the actual camp itself is basically because it was snowing, and it added some kind of a vibe to it, which was really quite peaceful. I'll explain how it made me feel in a little second, but we used getyourguide.com to book the tickets for both Auschwitz and the salt mine as well. We had a self-guided tour for Auschwitz. Now, on the morning of getting the coach was a little bit late. Our tour guide and then introduced herself around about half an hour or so into the trip, maybe an hour or so into the trip, and let us know that they are running a little bit behind. So that then had a knock-on effect on how long we could stay in certain places, which was a little bit disappointing, to be honest with you. Of course, I don't know the reason for the lateness. Maybe it was traffic or what have you, but it was a bit disappointing. It was one of the main things that we wanted to go to Poland for, is to go to Auschwitz and to really experience that. So to know that we were running behind a little bit on our schedule was a little bit disappointing. It was one of those things at the end of the day, if it was traffic, whatever the reason was, we weren't told why they were running late. But, sometimes these things can't be helped. But, with that in mind, the first museum that we went to, when we got to this museum, and admittedly I can't remember the name off the top of my head here. If I've managed to remember it, it'll be on the screen here somewhere. But that particular museum, first of all, looking back, I probably could have done without going there. It was a museum which, yes, okay, fair enough, it told the stories of the people of that time. But, I could have personally done without that. And the tour that we booked didn't really tell us that we were going to be going there. We just thought that we were going to be going to Birkenau and then to the Auschwitz camp. But that wasn't the case. Now, something else that we had not actually paid for, but we were being taken to anyway, was this art museum. And again, I will find the name of the museum and I'll put it up here somewhere. Now, it was a bit of I say strange place. That probably sounds a bit disrespectful. I don't mean strange in terms of like weird, but it was a little bit odd. Again, like you could have missed it out probably. It was a really nice place to go to, but it was the tour guide's idea to actually go there. Now, because we were running behind on our schedule already, this particular museum, this art gallery, wasn't included in what we paid for. So surely this, this part of the trip should have really been missed out. The tour guide basically did it because she'd done it with other groups, and they found it really quite cool. And it was a cool place. It was a nice place to go. But like I said, because we were running behind on our schedule, we hadn't paid to go there. I didn't even know that place existed until we got there. Now, we were there for, I would say, about 20 minutes or so. Yes, we had a bit of a talk as to what the artwork was and who actually made the artwork and who that person was. It was a good piece of history, a good piece of information to take in. But we probably could have missed that bit out, to be honest. Now, the other thing that I just wanted to mention is actually to do with the other people, the other tourists that were there. Now, I don't know why people think that they are an exception to the rule, but basically, in my opinion, and I'm not going to rant too much about it, but when you have signs up around and about that tell you not to take pictures, surely in a place like Auschwitz, in those designated areas where you aren't allowed to take pictures, surely you would adhere to that and you would, it's, for me, it's just common sense. It's a little bit of a respect thing as well. This particular area that we were, it was basically the death chambers, and it was the area where the Jews would be put into. They'd either have to stand, they'd either have to basically be starved to death. But it tells you specifically no photography. So you're there, you're walking around, you're having a look, and I will explain how this particular area made me feel in just a second. But there were tourists there with their phones just taking pictures of everything. And fair enough, yes, I've got some footage of Auschwitz and of in the camp, but the only reason I took the pictures is because it was snowing, and it added a certain element to it, added a certain vibe to it. And I just thought it was a bit disrespectful of people to be taking pictures where they shouldn't be. And I've never understood anywhere you go that's got any sort of, any sort of story behind it or any sort of religious thing behind it. At the end of the day, they're telling you not to take photos, so just show a bit of respect and have a bit of respect, please. But other than that, the feeling of what Auschwitz gave me, I can't explain it. It's stuck with me now. I mean, it's currently Friday. We went to Auschwitz on Monday of this week, and I found myself wanting to learn about Auschwitz. I found myself wanting to learn more about what happened. And there's been some pretty morbid questions that I've asked Google, basically. But it's just, I had the feeling of being watched in there. definitely, especially in the death chamber part, which I was just telling you about, you know, where the tourists were taking pictures. You just had this vision and had this feeling that somebody was around watching you. There was a particular area as well where all of the pictures were on the walls, or there was some pictures on the walls in one particular room that we were in. And again, the eyes of those pictures were just following you around the room. And I think it was that realization of knowing that something like that has actually happened in this very place that you're standing. It is just horrific to think about. And, you know, being there, it's almost unbelievable, you know? And you don't feel, I've never felt a feeling like that before, ever. Even with Birkenau as well. I'm not going to sit here and you know, spoil anything if you haven't really been, but I will say that there is an opportunity where you can actually go in and see where the Jewish people actually lived whilst they were in the concentration camp, where they slept, where they were, you know, where they were held essentially. And it's basically just wooden sort of slabs, wooden, you know, sort of pallets or what have you, just you know, just stacked up, and they were just packed in there. And you know, you might have seen the pictures of this, but when you actually get there and you see these things in person, you just look and you go, how can this be? How can this be real? And it really stuck with me. I absolutely, again, if I can say this, you know, it's a bit of a strange thing to say, but I really liked going to Auschwitz. You know, I'm glad that I did it. I didn't want to get much footage. You know, I didn't want to record too much, but you know, as I've mentioned, it did snow when we were there, and I just wasn't expecting it. And the snow itself added an element of tranquility and added a bit of peace to, you know, the area. As cheesy as this might sound, you know, you do feel that, like I've said, that somebody is watching you, but you also feel that, you know, there's an element of, right, this has happened and now we're moving forward, and it's just a peaceful place now. Yeah, so I do recommend it though. You know, I really do recommend it. I'm so glad that we did it. But again, the only real issue that I had was people taking pictures. Of course, if you want to think that you're an exception to the rule, then that's fair enough. But it baffles me. It really does. And now on to slightly more positive things. I will tell you, first of all, you know, complete transparency. We went there from Saturday the 16th of March to Wednesday the 20th of March. Our flights basically going out there, it was a late flight going out there and it was an early flight coming back. So it worked out that we had 3 full days in Krakow. The first day, as you've just seen there on the vlog, was our sightseeing day. Second day was Auschwitz, and the third day, or part of the third day, was the salt mines. Now, on the 2 tour days, we didn't really spend much money. On the Sunday, on that day where we were exploring and, you know, doing our own thing, what have you, that was the time where we spent the most money. We took £350 with us, which I think gave us around about 1,800 zloty. And we came back with money. We came back with around about £50. And that was just, you know, it was great, basically. The place, well, the area, the you know, Poland in general, I guess, or Krakow where we were, it was really cheap. You know, we were spending, you know, a £5 on 2 bottles of cider, which is why I think we stayed in that last bar, which I showed you. I think that's why we basically stayed in it for as long as we did. You know, I could have very easily carried on drinking, had it have not been for the fact that we were flying home. And then, of course, I then had to drive from the West Midlands all the way back down to South Wales. I could have very easily stayed out in that bar. It was a very nice place. The tour guide around the salt mines, she was absolutely fantastic. She was telling us everything that we needed to know. And yeah, everybody else was just, you know, really pleasant. It was a really pleasant area, really pleasant place. The only thing that I will say though is basically, if you're a cold person, if you get cold quite easily, be prepared, because we went in March. It might be different at other times throughout the middle of the year, or what have you, but in the summer months. But it was freezing cold and we underestimated it. We really did. Now, being in the UK or being from the UK, it's cold most months. But I can usually manage, when we take Betsy out for a walk, it might be, 3 or 4 degrees or what have you, in the winter, and I can manage. Over there, it was bitterly cold. It was, the wind chill was so crisp and sharp. And Chris wasn't coping really very well either, and I felt quite bad. I couldn't turn the temperature up. I felt really quite guilty. But my advice to you would be, to wrap up warm if you're going to go in the winter months, or in March time like we did. It was nice sometimes in the sun, but then you just get this really cold blast of air, which was just really quite uncomfortable. But overall, would I go to... I guess Betsy wants to join in on the vlog. But would I go to Poland again? Yeah, I would. With Auschwitz, to be honest with you, I think that it was, you've basically... with Auschwitz, you've done it once, so you probably don't have to really do it again. I loved how cheap everything was out there. We didn't get to do sort of everything over there. Of course, we only had the 2 things booked in, and we didn't have really much time to do absolutely everything that Krakow may have to offer. But the things that we did do, the Banksy Museum and the Museum of Illusions as well, they were all really good things to do, and we really had a genuinely really good time. There's a lot of walking to do as well, so just be prepared for that, as I've already mentioned. As I've already mentioned in other parts of the vlog, especially with the salt mines, it was a very exhausting day, even though it was only half a day. But yeah, so that's just about it, basically. Thanks for watching if you've got this far. I would appreciate if you did subscribe if you enjoyed it and if you want to see more. The whole reason, again, like I've pointed out, I won't point this out on every single video that I do, but I've set up this YouTube channel to basically keep myself busy. If you go back through my videos on, when the channel first started, I basically explain in those videos that I am rather fed up at this moment in time, and to do a vlog like this, it is really helping me to sort of keep busy and to keep mentally busy as well. So thank you ever so much again. Like I said, if you have got this far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'm not sure what the next one's going to be, but I'm sure when I know, you'll be the first ones to know as well. So thank you ever so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you soon.